Ray mentioned that it didn't end the way I wanted to. It wasn't because I was fired. It wasn't because I was forced out, but I was having some neck problems, and it was just physically taxing on me. I was still a young 63 years old, but it just, I was dealing with these issues. Well, we dealt with them after I retired, and as each year has passed by, this is the third year I've been out, I have felt better and better and better with each passing year. And right now I'm standing in front of you at 66 years old, but believe me, that's just the number. I don't feel anything close to 66 years old. I feel like I'm 40 years old again. I am so excited about being here and doing this job.
That was the words of Paul Mainieri yesterday discussing something that a few people have brought up, and that's in regards to his age and how he feels. Now, I'm 42. The other night I played basketball. As I was playing, I felt like I was 21 again. And then yesterday morning, off air, Preston heard me, and I felt like I was 72. It's exciting when you get into it. It feels great. And then you wake up after the long, hard grind, and you go, whoa. But I'm with him. And the main thing about this, and this is why I don't think the age matters a lick at all. Everybody down there seems to know the time frame and what is supposed to be accomplished here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. As long as we're all in agreement that this is a win now issue, and this is something that we have to take care of. I do commend them for taking on the criticisms or the cons head on, because it's no need to not address the elephant that's in the room. And so I do commend them. But I will say this: anybody that says age is just a number, yeah, I said that when I was probably maybe 18, trying to get into a 21-year-old establishment, or maybe when I get older. So when you say age is just a number, it is, age means something. It's like the rings around a tree. It does mean something. It doesn't have to mean a sealed fate for you, but it does mean something. Also, again, with that age comes all the experience that we're trying to hire also. So you comes with, yes, you are of a certain age, and with that certain age, there may be certain physical limitations that you have, but there also means that there's also mental capabilities that you have experienced and earned. So I'm for it, but let's just not act like it's not a thing.
Yeah, like I said, to me, the big thing here is he has two younger guys, three, I guess, I should say. It's not like they do have a third member of the staff. But he's got a staff that feels, I feel, as we sit here one day removed, is built around his strengths. Paul Mainieri can coach baseball. That's what he's brought in to do. Monty Lee and Terry Rooney can handle the assistant jobs, and that'll bring us to our next one here in just a second on NIL and how South Carolina goes about handling that. But I don't know. One thing that I haven't thought about until this week, as this has been brought up, is it on the coach to handle NIL? I don't know at this moment in time, and I don't think we know. By that I mean, is it like a payroll? Is that really what it is, where a coach goes to a player and goes, I like you, I think you're more deserving of getting these endorsements? Because remember, NIL initially was the player going out and using his own name, image, likeness, right? And that's not what it is anymore. It is essentially a player going to the university and going, I'm going to come play for you, but how much are you going to pay me for NIL?
Right.
Whereas it was supposed to be, well, the player could go back to Somerville or Lexington or go somewhere and run a camp with their name under it. I think Malaysia Fulwiley did one several weeks ago, which is, to me, was what it was. You could go and create your own T-shirt brand. If you were an offensive lineman, Thorns, Preston's Pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
You get the point. That's not what it is. So I'm trying to figure out the role of the head coach now in NIL.
Well, that's definitely something that has changed, and a lot of coaches complain where they've had to essentially become a general manager in a sense. And that's why in the professional sports leagues, that's why they have the role of a general manager, because it's very difficult for the coach to look at a player and say, no, you're worth this, no, you're worth this, no, you're not worth this much. You don't want to have that relationship muddied. So, yeah, there probably needs to be some sort of baseball operations person or somebody in a general manager role that can handle that specifically. I'm not sure if those roles have been developed across the country, but I can foresee that happening.
This is yesterday Paul Mainieri talking about both his approach to NIL and the transfer portal, because obviously the transfer portal, now that one I understand a little bit better for him in terms of how he's got to handle how he's got to handle his roster. But here he is, Paul Maneri, yesterday talking about NIL and the transfer portal.
Well, let me tell you how I'm going to approach him, okay? I'm going to lean on my coaching staff extremely hard, okay? I'm going to depend on these guys, okay? I don't know exactly how this all works, but I'm learning a lot. I've learned a lot in the last 3 days with these guys. I think between the two of them, I've probably had 30 conversations and another 40 text messages while I've been in Baton Rouge and they've been here. So we're going to get this thing figured out. We're going to have it, have a really good plan going forward, and I'll become more and more involved as time goes on.
It doesn't worry me, but what do you take from that?
I think it's good. Address your blind spots, and you have folks that are there, because that is something that he's going to have to catch up to speed on. And it's a new world from the one that he coached in and the one that he left previously.
Is it fair to say, kind of like you said, address your blind spots, that he's got two younger guys that can handle it?
Yeah, they're like, hey, coach, this is how you get to Hulu. No. We don't do cable anymore. And he's trying to look for HBO or something.
I was hoping that would be your answer.
Mm-hmm.
I just said younger guys. Terry Rooney is 50. He'll be 51 in November. Monty Lee is 47.
Yeah.
So are we labeling them young, but
It's all
Paul Maneri at 66 old?
yes. I don't understand.
But do those go hand in hand?
No, 66 is way older than 50. I don't understand how we not. That's called math. What's the difference? Now they're not young. They're not. They're not 30. So they're not young in the coaching profession, but they are younger than a 66-year-old for sure.
No, I agree. Yeah, Terry Rooney, by the way, 50. Monty Lee, 47. But I do think two guys that are more immersed in it. And that's why I kind of say, it feels like to me, Paul Maneri's job is the old school way the very old school way of running an athletic team. Hey, coach, you just coach. You work on the grounders and the hitting and the pop flies and what the infield fly rule is, and we'll handle everything else. You just coach.
I just can imagine how many of those texts where Monty sends Paul a text explaining something about the transfer portal, and Paul's like, "Yeah, got it," and then he starts thinking about it, he's like, "Oh, what about this?" And he's like, "Okay, no, we said that 5 texts before. Now we got to come back to this." So I imagine there's a lot of conversations, a lot of double texts that are happening.
But that's honestly what I feel to go back, and we'll get into more coming up in the next segment. But in terms of transfer portal and NIL, it feels like Paul Maneri is just here to coach baseball, and I think that's a great thing. Just coach the team. We'll handle all this other extracurricular activity with guys like Monty Lee and Terry Rooney. You understand? We'll talk more about that. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, She's Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
And I got a text from Ray, and I'd call you, and I'd like to talk to you about some candidates and just get your opinion of these guys. So when we got into town there, he called me, and we started having a conversation. And listen, Ray Tanner and I go back a long way. You know, we competed against each other for many years, and I just always had the greatest respect for Ray and the South Carolina baseball program. And Ray's career as a coach pretty much paralleled mine. I think we're the same age. And, you know, he was being successful. I think we had some success as well. And we just hit it off, and we really got along great. And I would call him a friend, you know. We didn't talk to each other all the time or anything like that. But when we did, it was like picked up from the day before. Sure. So he said, you know, he called me, just wanted to see what I thought about the different candidates, you know. And after I gave him my opinion of the guys and ranked his candidates and so forth, he said, "How you enjoying retirement? How do you feel?" And I said, "Well, I feel great. To be honest with you, I'm a little bored. You know, you can only play so much golf. I've gotten really good at carpool pickup, you know, with the grandkids."
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
So he said, "Well, what about you for this thing?" And it kind of took me back for a second, you know. And I said to him, "You know, Ray, there's nobody in the country I would go work for other than you, or to be at Carolina. You know, I mean, I've just."
No, that was on the post game show with Jay.
Mm-hmm.
But Preston, he about his respect and friendship
Yep.
with Ray Tanner.
Yep.
He told us there's only so much golf. You called that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then yes, he hit the South Carolina. He'd get to go work with you in South Carolina. Or to go work with Ray in South Carolina.
Listen, we've heard these things before, and it all makes sense when you say they're getting into the conversation. I think they're being sincere when that's not the conversation that Ray went into the conversation. But as they're talking, it's like, wait, you said you're bored? You said you still want to coach? Ray's starting to spin, and he's like, well, you know what, we got a job. And Paul's like, well, you know, this is something that might work out for me, and how you think? And all of a sudden, here we are. It makes perfect sense how the conversation goes.
And again, one thing we've talked about that came up yesterday, and we'll try and get some audio of that as well, but it seems like everybody, I don't know if there was, and even if you knew what the plan exactly was for Lou and Skip in terms of years. If it was like Mike McGee saying, hey, give us 4 years to get this thing right, and then we're going to hand it off to Skip. You know, I think Steve Spurrier came in just with the mindset of, I'm going to coach as long as I want to coach.
Yeah, I don't know what they obviously had different versions of what the plan was. I think there's very pretty much documented that Lou Holtz wanted to leave after the second Outback Bowl. He wanted to win that game, ride off into the sunset, and end it. And Mike McGee was like, no, we don't want this to happen. And so he stayed along. And then by the time it got to year 5, we couldn't go that direction anymore. So after year 3, it would have been a perfect opportunity for leaving. I think that was Lou's plan, but that wasn't Mike McGee's plan, which makes this so different because it seems like everybody is on the same page as far as what they're trying to accomplish.
That to me is the big part. And now you look at how this hiring is being handled, and this is also Ray Tanner yesterday on the post-game show with Jay and Elijah talking about the reception he's received from the hire.
I think some people were surprised, excited too, but surprised. But some of my colleagues in the business were, like, you got Paul to come back? You got him to do this? I said, no, he chose to do it. All I did was provide an opportunity. He chose to do it. It wasn't going to be a situation I got to talk him into it. He chose that this is where he wanted to be, and certainly he's at the top of the list if you're looking for a head baseball coach. So it's an exciting time, but it's fun, and I know that our fan base, having Coach Lee stay on the staff was big to them. They know what he does and who he is, and it was strictly Coach Maniere's decision. I told him a little bit about Monty, and I said, that's it. I don't pick the coaches, and you do. Good luck to you. And I got out of it at that point, and he told me, a couple days later, he said, I'm over the moon about Monty Lee. I said, well, I was too. He was with me for 6 years. I became a better coach.
Yeah.
That's Ray Tanner also discussing a couple of those things. What do you take away from
That he was obviously not planning to be that higher, but during the process, which there is a process, I commend him for being flexible in saying, hey, maybe there's somebody out here, or maybe there's something that we can do. And they talked, Paul talked about the recruiting prowess and how Ray offered the opportunity like a good recruiter. Look, you don't have to make any choices here, but here are the choices you can make if you want to do this.
I think, again, everything yesterday, and I think so far everything we've played, it shows that this was a home run hire. And again, it feels as we now remove ourselves 24 hours from the press conference that everybody's on the same page with what the plan is going forward for this. And I think that's, as we've said multiple times this morning, that's the most important thing. But to go back to it, Preston, it is interesting. There are similarities to what we saw with you and how you watched Lou Holtz and Skip Holtz and what it seems to be here. And you hear them talking about Monty Lee. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I feel like Ray was probably like, hey, and he kind of did say it, Monty is a good coach. You look at his resume, you look at his record, he was rolling along until COVID hit, and then things kind of fell off a little bit, and obviously they didn't pick back up, and so forth and so on happened there with Clemson. But Monty Lee's a good coach, and the fact that Monty Lee will kind of hang around is going to keep this thing intact. I know Ethan Petrie yesterday was very vocal. There's an article on thebigspur.com with John Whittle where Petrie basically essentially saying, yeah, I'm here to win a championship. I love Monty Lee. I love this program. I love everything about it. And we talked about it. That's also the key is Monty Lee kept the foundation together, because when your coaches let go, that the transfer portal opens for every player. And it looks like Monty Lee essentially kept everything together and may have even picked up some commitments as well.
Yeah, it makes plenty of sense. And now you see Monty getting very active on social. He's talking about twitchy JUCO guys that are in the nest, and there's a little bit more excitement on that front. Because again, when you're the assistant coach and you're not empowered to make those type of decisions or to do those types of things, he can't do that under the previous staff because that wasn't his role. But it seems as if he's being empowered to take a larger role on this staff.
Let's listen to one more thing from Paul Mainieri here. Now this becomes the next question. All right, we move past everything. What are the biggest hurdles ahead? Here is Coach Paul Mainieri during his press conference talking about the biggest hurdles that lie ahead of him.
Well, I think the league is getting tougher every year. There's a lot of great teams out there. And, let me tell you something. One year I went, as a coach, our team went 13-17. We didn't make the SEC tournament. There was only 8 teams that went that year. I think that was 2011, okay? 2 years later, we went 17-13. We were a national seed, 4-game difference. 36-21 year to 40-16 the next. 4-game difference in conference, 4-game difference overall. Went from not making the tournament to national seed. So the difference is razor thin. You win a few one-run games, and you're having a good year. That's the key. You got to win the close ones. And the only way to win the close ones is with clutch hitting, poise on the mound and on defense late in the game, and a belief that you're going to finish the game off. And that's one of the things that, quite frankly, we've been proud about in our career, is we've won a lot of close games. And I think it'll make the difference in the season.
Jen, so he won the press conference? There you go. There you go.
We'll get into more of what he said. It sounded, just for the record on age, he and Ray Tanner are the same age, they're 66.
Oh, yeah, Ray made that very clear during the intro when he was like, yeah, there was some other guy that was a pretty good SEC coach, too. That was good.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but it sounded Ray Tanner-esque of some of the things he said. Poise, clutch hitting,
Sounded like Lou Holtz to me.
There you go. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. Madonna. It's a big day, huh?
It's turned into a big day. Dance party.
Preston Thorne will review Madonna. What is it?
Like a prayer.
Like a prayer. Okay, we'll get to that. You're listening to the early game.
1989, Bill. 1989, Bill. Madonna's Like a Prayer. Number 79 on Apple Music's greatest 100 albums of all time. Here's the deal. Don't have much mileage with Madonna albums. Okay. And so I was going through and listening to the album, and obviously you have Like a Prayer. And what I've learned about albums is they usually used to front load the album. Like a Prayer, then right after Like a Prayer is Express Yourself, and she has all those songs that we have. But here's what happened yesterday. I'm listening to Madonna, and then I get to Madonna's greatest hits. And here's what I'm here to tell everybody. Madonna, by the way, Bill, do you know Madonna's first name?
No, I actually very limited knowledge on Madonna. Because I feel like, real quick, you just mentioned 89 as the release of this album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like her mega success
Mm-hmm.
was, what, 85 to 90, you'd say?
No, well, it depends on who you talk to. So, yeah, that's fair. Her prime, maybe from maybe 85. That's later in the game. But Madonna's first name is Madonna, and which was a very, very interesting fact, which makes a lot of sense. She's very, very, very Italian family, so that makes a lot of sense as far as who she is. But Like a Prayer, this is a video I distinctly remember. I remember as a very young child. Yes. And and I just remembered the video, so I went back and watched the video, and yeah, I could see why it was very, very big build up to the video. Lot happening. In fact, people are talking about, oh, cancel culture. These things are happening now. Well, Madonna actually did get canceled. Pepsi pulled their endorsement from her at the time in 1989 because the video was so controversial because of what was in the video. The Pope came out against Madonna and said that she was blasphemous in the video. And here's what I've said earlier. I want to take back my statements. I said that Madonna could possibly be somebody who's playing themselves out of the Hall of Fame. She cannot play herself out of the Hall of Fame because of all of these hits, Bill. All of these hits. As she cannot talk about resume. We've been talking about resumes. Madonna, as weird as you get now, I would venture to say that if you went to a Madonna concert and they just pushed play on her greatest hits, you got an hour and a half worth of songs which people know by and bar. So with that being said, Bill, this is the first edition of Preston's Top 5 Madonna songs. Top 5 Madonna songs. Now you say you don't have very much. You don't have very much.
I was just looking because like my recollection of Madonna is Like a Virgin, Like a Prayer, Vogue.
Yes.
Take a Vow.
Yes.
Take a Vow was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But also the movie Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
That one, and also what I most know Madonna. What I personally most know Madonna for is A League of Their Own.
So that leads me to my top 5 list. Number 5, Human Nature. Later on in her album when she was getting kind of weird. Number 4, Lucky Star from her first album. Number 3, Holiday. Again, first album. Number 2, Borderline. First album. Those 3 classic songs. But Bill, number 1 Madonna song. This Used to Be My Playground. Theme song from A League of Their Own. Very, very talented, very good song. Madonna, I have a feeling that she will not show up again on this list, but when you hear all of her songs, you have to say, oh, I forgot about that one, and I forgot about that one. Oh, and that one too. And somebody who was a little bit younger during the prime MTV generation, all I remember about Madonna is controversy. Yeah. There's controversy around. She's getting canceled. She's doing this. She's doing that. She's on the tour. Then she has a book out. The book has her, she's naked. Oh my God. A lot of controversy, and it's amazing what passed for controversy in 1989. But I will say this, the Like a Prayer video, probably very still controversial in 2024. And here's the thing. Madonna is an artist, and we have to let our artist do artist things. And if that means mangling your face in 3,000 different ways or speaking with a British accent unexplainably for a couple of years, hey, that's on you. Because you know what, Madonna? You are an artist. You get to be weird so that we don't have to. So Madonna stellar artist. And for somebody to say Madonna sucks, that is an opinion. You can have that opinion, but the billboards, the charts, her ticket sales, and millions of fans around the world would disagree. So shout out to you, Madonna. A lot of great songs, a lot of great albums, good times, a lot of controversy. We appreciate your efforts.
Two movies, by the way. Dick Tracy, I didn't realize, went to #1 on the box office.
Mm-hmm.
League of Their Own was there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Strong career.
Yeah.
We'll get back into baseball.
we have made it into summer now. Now, teachers are finally have gotten the stink off the last year. They have finally officially, this is the best part of summer. This stretch from here until 4th of July, best part of summer for a teacher. After 4th of July, you kind of start to get the heebie-jeebies a little bit. Yeah. But this stretch from right about now until 4th of July is prime time teacher summer. Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. We got countdowns going on. Not wishing away the summer. We're not wishing away the
Just
summer.
making you aware.
But we've got college football video games coming out.
32 days,
Jen's birthday.
35 days.
The start of National Bourbon Day. Is that today?
Yes, maybe. It might be.
That was on the countdown.
It was on the countdown. It kind of disappeared off the countdown, but it is today. We are here. We are here.
National Bourbon Day falls on June the 14th to recognize the official spirit of America. Call it. Actually, no, I've been on a high noon kick. Yeah. Summer. Drink all the high noons except for grapefruit. It's good, delicious beverage. It's good, but today we'll make an exception.
We'll make an exception today.
We'll make an exception. Yeah, it says it's nationaldaycalendar.com. We're calling all bourbon lovers across the globe to join us as we raise our glass for one of the smoothest whiskeys around. There you go. Also, by the way, just for those of you who don't drink, totally understand, totally get it. Today is also National Strawberry Shortcake Day.
Very much a delicacy that I discovered later in my life. Very solid.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, isn't that
That's I'm with you on that one.
The ones you buy from the store.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the little, I almost want to call them a bowl, but it's got like the little lip around it where you put the strawberries and the little strawberry cream in there. Really?
Yeah.
These are the people that I hang out with. This is the best I got. High noons and some kind of processed, whatever you were just, whatever. What's the name of them? What is it? What's the name of? You seen? You know what I'm talking about in the store. Package. There's like 6 of them or something. Yeah. There you go. I do agree. Strawberry shortcakes might be the official delicacy of the summer.
It is a summer-ish type of dessert. And again, I think because of the simplicity, I didn't appreciate it when I was younger. I was like, get that out of here. Let me get some real dessert. Yeah. But as I get older, I like it a lot.
There you go. So National Bourbon Day, National Strawberry Shortcake Day. Celebrate accordingly, however you choose to do so. You can go both ways with that. You can mix them together and have a good time probably. But we got that, and then also, how many days until the start of college football season?
Well, until Old Dominion, 78 days, because there's a technicality there. But I am of the belief that the season doesn't start until the Gamecocks play.
Week 1 is officially
Yeah.
78. First opening Saturday is 78 days away, and the Southern 500 79 days away. Unbelievable we're that far away, and we've also dropped our Mondays until Christmas, I believe.
Yeah. We'll resume that. That's on the way. We'll resume that.
I've let everybody down. I've failed to count the number of Fridays. I'll do that in the break. The number of Fridays until
I didn't get that days, but it is 245 days until then.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. So we got all that
So,
going this morning. Obviously,
Coach Maneri, you're on the clock.
He is, and we will talk about that more so this hour. We will talk about his assistants. We did have the post-game show, Jay and Elijah, yesterday, both having both Terry Rooney and Monty Lee on their program to discuss some of the things that are taking place. And tell you what, Jen, let's go ahead and listen. This is number 15. This is Terry Rooney talking about being mentored by Paul Mainieri and what he has learned from Paul Mainieri in his career. And I'm sorry, Jen, this is clip number 15.
Well, first of all, I'm proud to call Paul my mentor. I'm really proud to call him that. You know, certainly over these years, he's become much more than that, you know, to me. And I mean, you even look at the last couple of years, he was retired and we both end up in Baton Rouge. I mean, it's amazing how this whole circle has happened. But yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, our days at Notre Dame were special. You know, I replaced, as you alluded to, Brian O'Connor, one of the best coaches in the country. And, you know, I look back on those 3 years and how it really kind of molded me in many ways as a coach. And this is great. I remember this like it was yesterday. The first time I really talked to Paul, when I didn't even know him.
Right.
And Brian O'Connor recommended me to him, and he said, Terry, let me ask you something. He goes, why'd you get into coaching? Really the first question he asked me. And I said, Coach, to be honest with you, to impact the lives of young kids, I said I wasn't very good, but I always remembered my college coach made me think I was better than I was. And I thought I could do that for guys. And he was like, hey, good answer. You know, and here we are, you know, whatever, 15 years later, whatever it might be. And that's always kind of been, I think, you know, my foundation. And I'm very fortunate that it correlated with one of the best coaches in the history of the game in Paul. So, you know, it was great. You know, go back to Notre Dame to LSU. You know, again, the only reason I left them was a head coaching opportunity. Yeah. And then I went to UCF, and I got tired of being a head coach. That's the only reason I left there, honestly. You know what I mean? Very similar. I had a couple years left in my contract, and I just wanted to get back in the SEC. Yeah. I did. I love recruiting. I love pitching. And, you know, I've had a chance to go back at Alabama, and that was a shorter stint. But anyways, and back at LSU this past year. So I do love both of them. Like, I really do.
Interesting. You, having played and you coached high school ball, you got a mentor?
Yeah. Yes, very specifically. And if I see his name pop up on my phone, I get nervous because either one, I think I'm in trouble, or two, he might ask me to come coach with him, and I don't know if I can turn him down. And I feel like that's sort of a similar situation here with Terry. He saw Paul's name pop up, and when that person calls you, you gotta go. Yeah. Because you can't tell that person no, because you feel like they're such an impactful person in your life. So yeah, I could definitely relate to that. So if I see Coach Kennedy's name pop, I'm like, oh boy, I hope he doesn't ask me to go coach with him, because I'd have to say yes. I'd have to figure out a way. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, but that I can definitely understand the siren of a mentor calling you and saying like, "Hey, I need you," and you wanting to be like, "Okay, let's go, let's ride."
When you have a connection and a bond like that, you like that for a coaching staff when it's like that, or sometimes is it better to have a guy with fresh ideas? Because these two are going to come in together now. We're going to get to Monty Lee as well, but these two are going to come in with basically the same concepts and ideas that they ran at LSU, whereas Monty Lee is going to be kind of the other guy who's going to be going, well, and by the way, it feels like this staff is built where there's a complete understanding between these three in particular. Now, you've also got John Hendry, who is another coach on there. We haven't talked much about John Hendry, but it feels like it's Terry Rooney and Monty Lee, and then Paul Maneri. And again, no offense to John Hendry, he is a on-the-field coach. I mean, he is an assistant just as much as Terry or Monty is. But you like that concept of almost running it back? Because we saw Will Muschamp bring Kurt Roper along.
Yeah.
Remember, we saw Steve Spurrier bring what was the defensive coordinator who's all of a sudden named just completely
John Thompson.
You know, you've seen some of these things. Shane Beamer and Marcus Satterfield. Yeah.
That didn't work. Well, I think the difference is this worked. I'm not sure if any of those actually were working in any of those places. You remember John Thompson came with Spurrier from the Redskins, never worked in a lot of those situations. So this actually worked. And the key thing I heard when Terry was talking, he said, I'm not interested in being a head coach, at least for right now. And so there's a clear division of labor. That's the boss man. I handle what I handle. I love recruiting. I love pitching. I'm here to do a job for this guy. And to me, that seems like that's a staff who's very clear on what their roles are going to be. To me, that was encouraging when he's like, I don't want to be a head coach, at least for the moment. You know, things can change. I'm just here to really serve the boss man on what he needs me to do, and we're very clear on what to do. Also, in these types of relationships, they have enough respect and love for each other where if Terry feels like something's going wrong or something, he can challenge him, and Paul is going to be willing to listen to him because he trusts this young person who he knows has has Paul's and the program's best interest at heart. That to me was very impressive.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. We'll let you hear a little bit of what Paul Maneri had to say about Terry Rooney when we come back. We'll catch that comment as we roll along, kind of recapping yesterday's press conference. U.S. Open back underway. Get you an update from there. Roy McIlroy sets it off in about 20 minutes here, a little less than 20 minutes. So we'll keep you updated on that this morning as they get going up at Pinehurst again. Even discuss a little bit after what you saw yesterday. Is that your kind of golf? Because it was different yesterday. Somebody hit us up a little while ago and it mentioned the course humbled some people. Tiger Woods, Dustin Johnson +4, McIlroy, Patrick Cantlay -5. You had kind of the array of numbers. You had a array. But we'll get into a little bit of Terry Rooney and Paul Maneri and what Paul Maneri had to say yesterday as it pertains to Terry Rooney. When we come back, it's the early game.
Hey guys, it's Preston for your broker, my broker, Benji Getzi at Buford Lending. Buford Lending is a true mortgage broker offering the widest variety of government mortgage programs and the best mortgage experience for clients throughout its state-of-the-art technology and record low interest rates. Their goal is to make your next mortgage experience closing easier, cheaper, faster, and friendlier. Since 1997, Benji and his team have served thousands of investors with their dreams of real estate investing, and Buford Lending specializes in DSCR loans and fix and flip financing. Benji and his team are VA, FHA, and USDA government loan experts and offer competitive jumbo financing as well as conventional constructed lending. Benji has helped over 8,000 families experience the dream of home ownership. So shop your rate with Buford Lending today. The number is 843-524-2404. That's 843-524-2404.
Terry Rooney. We're talking a little bit about him. He's kind of the unknown guy, right? I think, or for I want to say baseball purists, there are people that I know that really follow college baseball, and when the name Terry Rooney was brought up, when this all started occurring, I believe was it last Friday that this all went down. Saturday, my days were mixed up because of being on the cruise. But the day that this all started, like really transpiring, might have been Monday. I have really no clue. But the bottom line is, all some people are like, "Ooh, Terry Rooney?
Yeah.
Terry Rooney's coming with? Really?
Yeah.
What's a Terry Rooney?"
Yes. Yeah, same. So being a casual compared to some people who are hardcore and deep down in the trenches as far as coaches and coaches searches, that name popped up and a lot of folks were excited about that. And so if I see folks getting excited about that, I'm like, okay, what's going on here?
Well, let's listen to Paul Maneri yesterday during his press conference. He talked a little bit about Terry Rooney. Here is Paul Maneri talking about his new assistant coach, Terry Rooney.
Terry Rooney and I have history together. He was I had a pitching coach at Notre Dame for 9 years by the name of Brian O'Connor. Brian is the head coach at Virginia. And when Brian left to become the head coach, it really felt like my right arm was cut off. I was like walking in circles because I had no balance anymore. So the most important hire I ever was going to make in my coaching career was going to be who to replace Brian with. So I did a national search, and everybody kept telling me the name Terry Rooney. He was at the time the pitching coach at Stetson. Were you the recruiting coordinator as well at that time, Terry? And he was the recruiting coordinator. When I met him, my God, the guy had the enthusiasm of 100 people. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He just never slows down. So I offered him the position. He came and joined me there. The other assistant I had was Cliff Godwin, who is now the head coach at East Carolina. So Terry was with me for 3 years at Notre Dame. Cliff was with me for 1 year. And then when I took the job at LSU, I brought both of them with me to LSU. The first year I was at LSU, we weren't very good, quite frankly. You know, there needed to be a real upgrade in the talent, and a lot of things had to happen. Well, Terry and Cliff hit the ground running, and they came up with the #1 recruiting class in the country our first year at LSU. Now, there was no transfer portal in those days, so we couldn't get immediate help, but we recruited a bunch of freshmen, a few junior college transfers. That class ended up being so critical in our second year, we went to Omaha. The third year, now Terry left me after the second year to become the head coach at Central Florida, which is, of course, known as UCF now, and he was the head coach there for 8 years, Terry? For 8 years, and did a wonderful job. But the team that he basically put together, we won the national championship with in our third year. So now, as I had this opportunity that Ray was sounding like he was very interested in me doing it, the only way I could have done it is if Terry joined the staff with me, because I have so much confidence in his ability to coach players on the field. He coached a pitching staff that went to Omaha and then left the pitching staff that won the national championship for us the next year. And as a recruiter, there's just nobody that's going to outwork him. So the team of those two guys, Monty and Terry, are unbelievable.
Got it. Good call. Good call.
All right, I'm going to give my thoughts
Okay.
on a couple things here,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll let you weigh. Graphic description of losing an assistant coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Two, yesterday, as you and I were walking out of the studio, when we were joking, and Tyler was coming in, we were doing our change out, and Tyler said, "Yeah, Paul Maneri can talk. Paul Maneri's a talker." Because remember we discussed,
Mm-hmm.
Paul Maneri is a talker.
Yes.
He's just kind of weeding. There's no set. He doesn't know where he's going. Let me just say that. He just starts talking, and the words are flowing, and he's asking Terry questions. Who's sitting there? It's just a flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my two big takeaways that are funny. The serious takeaway, he mentioned Terry Rooney and Cliff Godwin. He also mentioned Brian O'Connor. Paul Maneri's got a pretty nice coaching tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he mentioned Godwin at East Carolina. Terry, as he said it, I was trying to relate it to a Monty Lee, Terry Rooney tag team duo going out and hitting the recruiting trail. I thought, that's pretty similar. that's a pretty strong. Paul Mainieri has done a great job in his career of having top-notch assistants that have carried him. And I also, to go back, as he was, and this is my final thought, as he was, I guess, coming to the idea of taking this job, we've heard this morning so far, Ray Tanner talking about how he went to Paul Mainieri for candidates, and then Paul Mainieri said he's bored, and then Ray Tanner worked his way. And I guess in Paul Mainieri's mind, as he worked his way through what he wanted with this job, bringing Terry Rooney with him was very important. And that is a comfort level for him because he knows Rooney will handle. He mentioned several times there, Rooney handled the recruiting that gave him the talent to build a national championship win.
And you said the comfort level. You're coming into a new place, a new situation. You want to be able to have somebody that you can look at and figure out what's going on. Whether you're just giving them a look, or we're both in a similar situation. We got to go to these new places with new uniforms on. That level of comfort with somebody when everything else around you is different is extremely important, especially to a coach who is used to doing things a certain way. And Terry knows how those things, you don't have to tell him how to set the balls up for practice. You don't have to tell him what the schedule is going to be. So we can skip past a lot of conversations that staffs need to have because we already know these things. You already know how I like to have the uniform set. Whatever those things are, Terry got that. And so that is, we're skipping past and being more efficient. We can actually really hit the ground running because we don't have to worry about introductory conversations. We know each other.
One other interesting thing to this, to go back, there was a connection. We mentioned John Hendry is also an assistant. We talked a lot about Monty Lee. We talked about Terry Rooney this morning, and we'll hear actually a little bit from Monty Lee in just a little while. You heard Paul Mainieri in there talking about Brian O'Connor, who is now at Virginia. John Hendry has been with Brian O'Connor at Virginia. So there's even a connection there that I think you see a little bit more deeply rooted. Hendry was the director of player development in Charlottesville for the last 3 years, and obviously Virginia, by the way, for those that are like Preston, have kind of checked out on anything outside of South Carolina baseball, the College World Series actually gets going today. Virginia, speaking of John Hendry, is in the College World Series. They are playing North Carolina today, 2 o'clock on ESPN, Tennessee and Florida State tonight. But it is interesting to hear how Paul Mainieri built this staff with basically either Monty Lee is actually almost the outsider of this, if you will.
Yeah.
And he's the guy we know.
Yeah, they're gonna make a joke in staff, and Monty's gonna be like, "What are we talking about?" They're going, "Yeah, remember that guy back in 2011? Remember, Big Bank Hank, and how he used to hit the ball when he used to do that?" Monty's like, "Nah, I don't remember that, man. Just fill me in, guys." But I mean, obviously they'll catch him up to speed, and so yeah, he is sort of the only guy who's not of this tree. We hear that a lot in football, the coaching tree. Well, this is the coaching tree, obviously, and if things go well, I'm sure Paul will be like, "Yeah, Monty's under my tree now too," and that's somebody he can add.
Hendry, for those that don't know, he is actually the son of John Hendry, longtime Major League Baseball executive, and John Hendry, the father, is actually the current special assistant to New York Yankee general manager Brian Cashman. So, baseball family. Again, we'll talk more about this staff and what they're kind of looking at, but it is interesting to see how Paul Mainieri put this staff together, to hear him talk about Terry Rooney and the relationship they had and his faith in Terry Rooney, because what they didn't get into a little, we heard Paul Mainieri talking about the biggest hurdles. I don't know how much he's maybe watched tape of this team or watched them to know what he's got coming back or what he's dealing with to get his feel on where it is. We'll talk more about that, get your opinions as well as we roll along. National Bourbon Day, National Shortcake Day, pretty big day all the way around. And we'll also talk a little bit about the U.S. Open as well. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Shi Jin Jensen. It's the early game.
Preston here. Let me tell you about my friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location to replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance company to take away the headache. They will come out to where you are, school, home, work. They will come out to you, give you a free quote, and then when they do the job, they'll take away the glass for you. Now, if you're sitting at home, you're looking to increase the value of your home with new windows or mirrors, Absolute Glass will come out and take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures, say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
think, what is this team, what is this program right now before you even start trying to knock out the transfer portal, bring in pieces to be ready for 2025? Because as Paul Mainieri said yesterday, he's here to win now. And that's what South Carolina fans should expect. This is, to me, again, it's not a rebuild. You do not take a step backwards next year. Matter of fact, they will be expected to host a regional next year. That's what South Carolina baseball is. That's what they did not host this year. 4 weeks ago, though, coming off of the Missouri series, I think, going into Georgia and Tennessee, was that about 4 weeks ago? We were down in Darlington, and it was one day after the Georgia game. Georgia was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but we were still talking about them not only hosting a regional, but potentially winning some games and being a super regional host.
Yeah, and that's what you would want to do. And he talked about it earlier about him coming in and instituting his ideals of what he thinks a baseball team should be: clutch hitting, defense in the final stretch, and a belief in the idea that you can win. And I'm not sure if on the previous staff if we had any of those things outside of a couple flares here and there. So this is what you want.
Let's listen a little bit. This is one thing that Preston brought up about a week ago: the marriage between a coach understanding the expectations of the fan base, the fan base's expectations, the coach's expectations. Let's listen a little bit. We're not going to listen to the whole thing, but this is Paul Mainieri yesterday talking about the fan base holding a high standard.
I'm not sure if you know this or even recognize it, but I actually came from a place that's very similar, okay? Yeah. I told the new coach when he took over and I met with him, I said, hey, they're going to love you until you fall behind in the first game of the year, okay? We didn't win every game when I was a coach at LSU. We had some disappointing moments, too. We had a lot of phenomenal success and great moments. We only won one national championship. Ray's got me there, okay? I need another skin on the wall to catch up with Ray, all right? But sometimes people have a tendency to dwell on the negative. The sport of baseball, it's impossible to win every game. It's just impossible. Nobody's going to go 56-0. We're going to get our nose bloodied here and there, but you got to just stay the course. And I know that fans are going to, be critical at times, all right? I've always said this when I was at LSU and criticism got loud. There's only one thing worse than criticism, and that's apathy. There's not going to be apathy among Carolina fans. There wasn't apathy among LSU fans. The criticism is not to be taken personal. They want to win, and I don't blame them. They own season tickets. They support the baseball program. There's no Major League Baseball here. This is Major League Baseball for our fans and the people that are watching the games. But let me tell you this: they aren't going to want to win any more than I want to win. Okay, and Terry and Monty and John, nobody's going to want to win more than we do. So we're going to do everything we can do to put our players in a position to be successful. That's the big thing that we need to do, is we need to put our players in situations that they can be most successful. I'm looking to see what players do extraordinary things, and then we're going to magnify those extraordinary things and try to keep from putting them in situations where they might have a difficult time succeeding.
What do you take away? You hear that? You've heard Lou Holtz talk. You've been in a lot more locker rooms and everything than I have, and we've listened to Mark Kingston, the previous coach, really more so the last 2 years. But you hear him talking about the fan base, him being at LSU. That was something I thought he might reference in terms of what do you take away from that?
Yeah, I think it's very important that he understands the mission. He understands the concept, and as I said before, I don't think Coach Kingston ever quite really understood why. What's the complaints? What's going on? We got, what's the deal? We're winning enough. Not sure why people are taking this thing. And he also said that another key point is it's not personal. It's nothing against you. You just happen to be in charge of the program that we love right now, and so you have to get this thing on the right course. I don't know if Coach Kingston, I don't know if Mark ever had that understanding of the dynamic of major college baseball. And he also, like he said, this is our major leagues. This is the thing that we follow into June. He understands a lot of the things that needed to be explained or understood eventually by Mark. He comes into the game understanding these things.
I like a lot of what he said. It does make sense. And the Major League Baseball comment I thought was very good because it does explain he understands what baseball means to this community, what it means to the fan base. Now, the next question again is, all right, how quickly can you get up to speed? This is Terry Rooney yesterday talking about recruiting to win. This is on the post-game show with Jay and Elijah, but this is Terry Rooney yesterday talking about recruiting to win.
Here's the thing I tell every recruit. Very simple. There's two things, okay, that I believe the best players in the country want. The best players in the country. Number one, they want to go somewhere they're going to develop. They put themselves in position to either pitch or play in the major leagues, number one. And number two, they want to go somewhere where they feel like they have a legitimate chance to get to Omaha and win a national championship. All the best players in the country want those two things. We have that right here at Carolina. Like, we have that. So when you're recruiting that level of player, yeah, you're going to deal with the draft. We should. You just got to understand how the balance of it, and as you get down the road. And obviously that all comes from relationships. What will they sign for? How much do they value in education? All of those. There's a lot of moving pieces to that. But those two variables, that's whatever the best players want.
Right.
That's what they want. And we've got the chance to do that here.
Yeah.
You hear that with Terry. You went through the recruiting process. You understand a lot of what he's talking about.
Well, I think the idea of them saying that players want a chance to develop. They want a chance to know that you're going to take my talents and, as Coach Maneri said, maximize my ability. I am good at this, but I want to come here and get better at whatever the things that I'm doing. The second thing that he said, you want to have a legitimate shot to win. I don't know what the feeling was amongst the previous crew, but knowing that every time you step on the baseball diamond, you have a chance to win and string those wins into tournament appearances, hostings, trips to Omaha. That's what great players want. Great players want to be coached because all that other stuff will take care of itself. And as he said, do we have to deal with the draft? Yeah, that's what you should, because you want to be recruiting those types of players.
803-404-6100. A lot of baseball discussion, obviously, this morning coming off of the Paul Maneri hiring yesterday in the press conference. We'll get into a little bit of U.S. Open when we come back. Also, Game 4 tonight in the NBA. Is this it? Mavs are a favorite, by the way. Okay. We'll get into a little bit. We'll hit a few other topics here as we roll along. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. For nearly 30 years, Mid-State Roofing has been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. It's their proven history that is your assurance that their professionals will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility, and they're going to do it in a manner that is both safe and pleasing to you. So whether it's a high-rise or a hospital, a manufacturing or industrial, Mid-State Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. And with those summer thunderstorms coming up, heavy rains, a little bit of hail, high winds, you want to make sure your roof is ready to handle that. So give Mid-State Roofing a call. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are ready to help you with a maintenance contract. They'll have an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee ready to take your phone call. So make it 803-356-1919. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. Are those tax troubles weighing you down? Has the IRS sent you a nasty letter, kind of a threatening letter? Well, guess what? It's time to relieve that stress by calling the Ecton Law Firm. You get a free consultation today, whether you're here in Columbia, whether you're in Florence or you're in Myrtle Beach. The Ecton Law Firm has a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. So make that phone call, get that free consultation, 803-771-9800. Again, it's 803-771-9800. Don't let the IRS be in charge anymore. Take advantage of what the Ecton Law Firm can do for you and relieve that stress in your life. They understand the challenges you're facing, and that's why they're offering you that free consultation with a phone call today. Just make sure you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. 803-771-9800, or visit them on the web, ectonlawfirm.com. That's 803-771-9800. A lot of baseball talk this morning. A lot of baseball talk, obviously, for reasons. It's important to South Carolina. Preston, we've talked about that. Paul Maneri talked about that. The University of South Carolina, obviously, women's basketball has become the main thing, is taking a massive step forward. But baseball is that sport that 13 years ago, South Carolina fans really held near and dear.
Which, by the way, congratulations to Coach Maneri. Why he won the press conference, several different reasons, but chief amongst them, first person he wants to meet, Dawn Staley.
There you go.
Made it very clear, need to meet Dawn.
There you go.
As he should. And they should just bring him to the Queen, have him have the seat with him, and let him know the expectations around here.
Just sit them all down and let them hang out.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. 803-404-6100. NBA playoffs tonight. We talked a little bit about it. Any investment to see?
I want to see if Luka's going to continue to flame out. And it's really curious to me because the Mavs are in a difficult position because it's hard to blame a loss on your best player when your best player is the only reason why you're even there. And so you can't, if you're a Mavs fan and you're like, oh, Luka's not playing any defense, oh, he fouled out. Well, guess what? You wouldn't be in this situation if Luka wasn't doing otherworldly things on offense. So you got to take that. But I think the Celtics will put him out of their misery.
Is this exposing Luka a little bit more because he's on the big stage? Because it's both. It's two things. One, yes, phenomenal offense, really fun to watch. Really bad defense.
Yeah, and the thing is, it is exposing him because people are actually paying attention. Because when you just catch highlights of Luka, oh wow, look what he did. Look at that awkward shot. Wow, he shot it from here. He's amazing. But now that I'm actually watching you and you're watching your whole game, you don't play the other half of the side. And, we're not saying you have to be all world or anything along those lines, but to be, like the kids say, a traffic cone, to be somebody that we can just go around anytime we want to, he's going to have to get that figured out. And I think it's more of an effort thing than anything else.
So you got the problem with the defense. Also, because, as you just said, he is now kind of front and center. We're actually watching him. We're actually like, oh, he's a pretty big whiner.
Oh, he's a baby.
He is a pretty big whiner, and he's admitted He's admitted that he admits it, that he's got to stop and that he's got to go away from that. But once he gets on the court, he can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's because that's how he's always played, and that's what's always been successful for him. So, he was whining about the fact that they called the foul on him. He's like, I don't believe they called the foul in this. It's my 6th foul. Like, yes, you had 5 of them before.
Yeah.
You should have known it was going to be your 6th foul. So, yeah, he's going to have to get that. So, he's growing up. He's growing up in front of our eyes, and very rarely in the NBA does somebody win on their first attempt, as we saw with the Celtics. We've seen the Celtics have to grow up to this point and get through growing pains. So we're seeing him grow up, and hopefully he takes that in this offseason, which I do think will start tomorrow for him.
So you've got that tonight. This afternoon, you've got the College World Series taking place. 2 o'clock, again, is first pitch out in Omaha, North Carolina and Virginia. We got I don't know what I know what it says, but I don't know just how you consume it, how you take it in. Does it make it more interesting that it's an all ACC, SEC College World Series where you've got North Carolina, Virginia, you got Florida State and NC State, and then you've got Tennessee, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and Florida. I think I said Florida, but Tennessee, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and Florida.
Yes, it does, but they should have made it. I know they can't do this. Obviously, we should have made it like showdown style, so that all of the games matched up ACC versus SEC. Because some of the teams are, some ACC teams are playing each other. It doesn't quite match up like that. They should have made it showdown style, and then we'll see who actually comes out victorious.
Yeah, you've got, to your point, in one side of the bracket, you've got 3 ACC teams, North Carolina State, Virginia, and Florida State, and then you got Tennessee.
Right.
Other side of the bracket, you got 3 SEC teams,
We
Kentucky, Texas A&M, Florida.
We could have just switched them up a little, just for this
Just moved it
exception.
around.
Just for an exception.
North Carolina, Virginia, today, 2 o'clock, and then tonight, Tennessee and Florida State take on each other. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Kentucky and North Carolina State and Texas A&M.
Hey, North Carolina State, get rid of those camo jerseys immediately. I don't know what you thought you were doing with those. They were terrible. This is coming from the board of Preston Thorne, chairman of uniforms. Get rid of those camo jerseys pronto.
By the way, North Carolina State quietly, phenomenal sporting year.
Besides that,
have we paid attention to this?
I didn't. Yeah, well, if I had to guess, and I don't even remember, but I'm assuming they won 8 games.
So I was sadly going back to look and be like, oh, how many did they win?
I'm sure they won 8. That's because that's what they do.
Yeah.
Right?
I think they actually won more than that this year.
It's very possible because that's what they do. They boringly win 8 to 10 games every year and nobody pays them any attention. Then they had both men's and women's basketball have very, very solid seasons, both making the trips to the Final Four.
9 wins.
Yes, of course.
They were 9-3
all the time.
9-3, lost the ball game to Kansas State.
Lost
the Pop-Tarts Bowl, by the way. They were at the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Those 2 teams could play each other for eternity. North Carolina State versus Kansas State, 2 eternal 8 and 9 win teams, and nobody cares. They're just consistently good. Nobody's paying their attention.
Yeah, North Carolina State, and then you mentioned it, both basketball teams in the Final Four, and now the baseball program in the College World Series.
Solid job for the Pac.
Nice job for NC State. Also, you've got golf taking place. They are underway up in Pinehurst. And we'll get into this a little bit in the next hour because I am interested to hear your take as a casual golf observer. If what transpired yesterday, you enjoyed it, or that wasn't your side, because you had both sides of it. You had some golfers just being trampled, and you had some guys rising to the challenge. There was not that many golfers under par, but the 2 guys who were in the lead, McIlroy and Cantlay, 5 under 65s, looked really, really good doing it.
Yeah, I think my general disposition towards sports is I tend to enjoy the low-scoring affairs, leaning towards defense. So I guess this is more of a defensive course. I think I referred to it yesterday as a Will Muschamp type course. Oh, yeah. It's 13-10 ball. I do enjoy that type of sport.
It is. They are underway again. Roy McIlroy set. He is teed off. There's no update yet on how he's done so far. Patrick Cantlay does not tee off until 1:25 later on today. Ludwig Oberg, I believe, is the correct pronunciation. Is one back of them. He tees off at 1:36. And Bryson DeChambeau, I felt I had some buddies try to talk me into liking him yesterday or 2 days ago. They were giving me reasons why we should pull for Bryson DeChambeau. He's kind of like the Luka of golf. Just
big baby.
Yeah, just complains about everything. Just complains about everything. So we'll get into a little bit more of that in hour 3. Get back into some baseball as well. National Strawberry Shortcake Day and National Bourbon Day. Send us your best bourbon and your best strawberry shortcake recipe. We'll get into that. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. With summer now upon us, that means the kids are outside a little bit more, and that means when they come back inside, they're probably tracking some dirt and grass back into your house. Now the carpets, the rugs, the tile, they all look dirty, and now you're thinking, man, there goes my summer. Not going to be able to clean. Well, guess what? You can use the cleaning pros at Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning and take advantage of their summer sale, where you'll get 15% off all cleaning services. That's right. Carpets, air ducts, upholstery, area rugs, all 15% off. But it's for a limited time. So give them a phone call today, 803-262-4020, and mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. And that's how you'll save 15% off your next service. You can also go online, ZerorezColumbia.com, and use promo code SUMMERSALE. Again, that's ZerorezColumbia.com, and use the promo code SUMMERSALE. Get 15% off your next cleaning. Zerorez, spelled backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Up and at 'em, 8 a.m. on a June the 14th as we just count down the days now. 78 days until South Carolina's opener, Clemson's opener. You know, give you another good reason here. 4:15 start. You can get out and start tailgating for that opener and watch Clemson in Georgia that morning. That afternoon, 12:30.
That's at 12 o'clock?
That's at 12. Yeah, that's a nooner. Yeah, you got Clemson. You have Clemson in Georgia from Atlanta. You can watch that. We're 79 days away. Is that right? 79 days away from the Southern 500.
Correct.
So we will have racing that weekend. We are. How many days away are we until the release of college football? College football 25.
32 days. 32 days. And also with the Southern 500, I believe that's on September 1st. So that means that's 79 to 9 days away. That means we are 80 days away from the showdown between Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi.
That's right. Don't forget. Please do not forget about that.
So big sports weekend.
Yeah, winner takes all the. I've already forgotten
what's beef.
What? Yeah,
the beef.
Yeah, the beef.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all about the beef. Yeah, there you go. We got that. So yeah, we're counting them down. And did I catch you correctly? 245 days until baseball.
The suspected start of the baseball.
The suspected. I'm ballparking February 14th.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to get really crazy, Jen, which this is being a little absurd of what I'm about to say, if that's 245, then that makes 247 days to Daytona, the 2025 Daytona 500, which means we're just blowing right past the rest of this season and on into next season. Okay.
Yeah, I thought I saw that. And when that was this, is this like big news or kind of suspected? Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. Let's not blow past. Baseball's a little different. Let's not blow past. That's all. I doubt the NASCAR 2025 schedule has been released, but typically speaking, from what we've seen in the past, Valentine's Day weekend, and oh, by the way, just if we may as well throw it out there, February 14th, Valentine's Day 2025, gentlemen, 245 days away. Start planning accordingly.
Remember my speech from last year. Run the play. just run the play.
We'll circle back to that then. But right now, counting up, today is National Bourbon Day, National Strawberry Shortcake Day. Send in your best bourbon if you're a bourbon beverage drinker. Jacob went with Jefferson's Ocean Voyage 24 on the rocks. So that's actually a good one. And Patrick went with Willet. And you mentioned this evening watching all these sporting events. Might even be a bourbon night for you.
Yeah, I might partake. Tonight.
There you go. Little Angel's Envy might be where I go. I'm not sure I'll go too fancy tonight, but we will do it. So we've got all of that going on, and in the middle of all of that is yesterday's Paul Mainieri press conference. And we've heard from Paul Mainieri. We've heard from Terry Rooney. We'll hear this hour a little bit from Monty Lee, who joined the post-game show yesterday. But first, let's hear from Paul Mainieri. This is interesting because we played it earlier, but in the press conference yesterday, Paul Mainieri, or Ray Tanner, I think, was the one who basically said, hey, he didn't push Monty Lee on Paul Mainieri. This was a Paul Mainieri decision. Also, it was a Monty Lee decision because there was a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation that the Citadel, their job opening was Monty Lee's to take. And Monty Lee is also a well-known assistant. He would have easily latched onto a big-time staff if he wanted, but he chooses to stay in town. And here's yesterday, Paul Mainieri during his press conference talking about Monty Lee.
When Ray and I first talked about this job, Ray talked to me about Monty Lee. Now, I didn't know Monty that well. We'd had a couple of dealings with each other when he was the coach at Clemson. Am I allowed to say that name, or do I have to refer to him as the team up north? Up north. Okay, all right. When he was the coach there, we had a couple of things to discuss, but I couldn't fib about this and say I really knew Monty. But Ray knows Monty really well, okay? He obviously coached against him, then he was part of his coaching staff, and then, they've remained very close. Ray has been a real mentor for Monty and has been a big influence on his life. So he knows him well. So I deferred to him to tell me about Monty and, why is this so important? And he explained it. And as I thought about it, as Ray was explaining it to me, and then I slept on it before I gave Ray my answer, I was absolutely convinced Ray was exactly right. And I knew that Ray was a really good judge of people and talent and so forth. So Monty and I ended up having a conversation because, obviously there's going to be a little bit of disappointment that he didn't get this position. And I knew that he also had an opportunity to become a head coach at another school. And he's been a head coach for 14 years and a very successful one. But I wanted him to be a part of our coaching staff because of everything that Ray had told me about him. Well, then we had a conversation that probably lasted 2 hours, right, Monty, or more? And it was amazing because it was a very blunt and honest conversation on both sides. And that's the way I deal with people, in a very honest way and very forthright. And as the conversation continued to morph, I could see that there was a connection there. And as we started talking about things like philosophy of the game and coaching and hitting and fielding and pitching and everything else, it was amazing to me how aligned both of us were in our beliefs about how to do things. I had total respect for the work that he's done as the interim head coach. He's basically kept the team together, and he's given me great input on each of the players. He's going to be continue to be a tremendous part of Carolina baseball, and I'm really happy and proud that he stayed on with us. And okay, let it be told, I don't know how much longer I'm going to coach, and I'm sure that question is going to come, but I hope that we're going to do well enough that Monty will be ready to take over when I finish. That's how I feel about it.
There is a lot to unpack from that, including that final comment there. A lot to unpack. Where do you start?
I started on the idea that neither one of them had to do this, right? If we're taking everybody at their face value, Paul did not need to hire Monty, and Monty did not need to stay. And both of them have come to some sort of agreement and understanding of why each of them have chosen to do this. And I think the most thing I took out is they had a very blunt and honest conversation, because both of them have to acknowledge the idea that, yeah, man, I was going for that job. Right. And, oh, yeah, you wanted this job. Once we get that out the way, now we can discuss things out there. So I do appreciate the idea that they had that conversation.
What do you take away from that final comment there where he says, hey, I don't know how long I'm going to do this, and we want to leave it in a position where Monty can take over?
I love it. I love it. Let's just play it out. Let's not have any mystery or anybody guessing or who's going to be not having this thing where people are nudging for positions, and maybe Terry wants this thing or maybe John wants it and everybody's waiting for the old man to retire. Nah, this is Monty's. If we do things right, everybody's going to be successful. If things go the way we hope they go, this team goes to Omaha. Terry, you get a job that you may want in the future. John, you up your ante. Monty, you get this job. Everybody is very clear on the succession of how this works. I think clarity makes everybody very positive and straightforward in what the mission they're trying to accomplish.
I agree with you. It's very interesting for him to say that.
But you're right, though. You don't hear this often. Often it's always kind of like whisperings or mystery.
Well, because he's not officially named the head coach in waiting. It's not like they did. It's not a Mac Brown, Will Muschamp situation. What was the other one? Ralph Friedgen and James Franklin?
Maybe
that kind of went. I think. And then you had Bowden and Fisher there at Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher at Florida State. But there's also what I like is an acknowledgement of we have to do well to hand this off to you.
Yes.
Like it's not just. This isn't just head coach in waiting. Oh, when I step aside, you just automatically get the job. We have to have this thing working and running at a high end for us to be able to hand it off.
Also, another good point is that he's acknowledging, like, hey, I'm not going to be here forever.
Right.
I don't know if Mac Brown got the memo at Texas that he was supposed to be moving out the way soon. Like, head coach in waiting. What you mean? I'm not leaving.
Bobby Bowden didn't get the memo.
Exactly.
They had to go in, pick him up, escort him out.
Exactly. So
Jimbo was standing there with his box of stuff outside of his office. Oh, good. Is it empty now? I can go in? All right.
Jimbo said, still waiting. Still waiting. I'm waiting. So I love everybody's honesty about what they are and where they do want to, how this thing is set up. I think that was very impressive to me that everybody is being so transparent on what the deal is.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in if there's anything you hear. We'll hear more from Monty Lee coming up, but I do want to acknowledge, mentioned today is National Bourbon Day. It is also National Strawberry Shortcake Day, but and I'm dead serious, most importantly, you know what today actually is? There's a big birthday today. Big birthday today. Today is the 200, Hope's birthday? That is awesome, too. Congratulations, Hope, who is always on our live stream. Awesome for her. Congratulations. 29 is fantastic. But today is the 249th birthday of the U.S. Army. So Flag Day as well. So, we've joked about Bourbon Day and joked about Strawberry Shortcake Day, but thank you to all those in the U.S. Army who have served. It is the oldest branch in the U.S. military and the most senior in the order of precedence. Founded this day, June 14th, 1775. So pretty cool there. So thank you to all that have served in the Army. Really awesome and pretty cool.
Especially in this town. You know, this is a huge Army town. So
Yep. Shout out to all those over at Fort Jackson and everything. So shout out to if you've served in the U.S. Army or everybody that served. Awesome, awesome day. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll let you hear a little bit from Monty Lee himself. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Corley Pool Solutions. Summer is here. You heard Preston talking about it. For a lot of teachers out there, they're now getting all relaxed, probably hanging out by the pool in their backyard. Well, if their pool or your pool is not looking up to par, if it's suffering from algae, if it's a little green, I've only got one person that knows how to fix the job, and that is Tracy Corley and Corley Pool Solutions. I call him the pool guru for a reason. With over 20 years of experience, Tracy Corley knows exactly how to get that pool looking sparkling, so you can jump in it this afternoon when those temperatures hit the 90s. 803-445-8109. You need to line up your summer maintenance today. You don't need to wait a day longer. And with Corley Pool Solutions, they have flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. You know exactly what you are paying for, and it's more affordable for you to contact Corley Pool Solutions today, 803-445-8109, than for you to try and maintain it yourself. So don't wait another day. Have that pool looking sparkling. Contact Corley Pool Solutions. 8:19. We'll get to some message board mayhem in just a minute, including one school basically about to start begging the SEC to let them in, according to their message board.
Please.
But you've got a correction you need to make.
Quick omission. We talked about NC State having such a great athletic year, winning their same old 9 games, going to the Final Four in both men's and women's basketball. Now making a trip out to Omaha with those terrible camouflage jerseys that I hope they left in Raleigh. But we left out, and as a member of the gymnastics community now, we left out the women's gymnastics team who won the ACC, which we don't have a gymnastics team here in South Carolina, but it's important because that means you know who they beat in winning the ACC, or you know who did not compete for the ACC championship? Yeah, the team in the orange, who also just started a gymnastics club. So shout out to NC State for winning the ACC in gymnastics, and shout out to all gymnastics folks out there.
Okay, all right.
So NC State, yeah.
Really good year.
A great year for NC State. Just don't wear those camel jerseys again.
Little message board mayhem. Now, this is legitimate. I get your take on this with you and Jen. The Big 12 Conference, this came out yesterday. The Big 12 Conference and Allstate, the insurance agency, are in discussions about selling the league's naming rights to the insurance giant. Sources have told Brett McMurphy and Action Network. Now, think about it. We talk about different avenues of revenue, different revenue streams. They would change the name to the Allstate 12 Conference.
All states, because the Big 12 has sprawled, and we don't actually, there's really no geographical
It's true.
territory for the Big 12, so it is all states.
Says the All-State 12 Conference is the leading candidate for the new name, sources said, while it's also considering Big All-State Conference.
Ooh, no. No.
It does go on to say that the multi-year deal could earn the league between $30 and $50 million annually to be divided among its 16 league members.
That's $2 billion. Let me be very clear. Yes, there's a lot of money in regular people terms, but you're going to rename the whole conference for everybody to get $2 million? I don't know if that's a great deal. Yeah, they're not.
Utah fans, you know Utah, this is your message board mayhem. Utah joining the Big 12, and one Utah fan is not happy. He says the Big 12 to change name to Big All-State Conference. The Big 12 is reportedly in discussions with All-State to potentially rename the league to the Big All-State Conference. And then this poster says, yes, really, it's time to beg the SEC to join.
Because nothing says Southeastern Conference like Utah.
Utah.
Feels about right.
There is your message board mayhem. But yeah, this is legit thing.
Plus, they haven't even been in the Big 12
Yeah,
yet.
didn't even make it to the Big 12. Just skipped right on past. Who wouldn't love that trip out to Utah to take on Rice Eccles Stadium? The rest of this article does go on to say, while stadiums, venues, and bowl games sell naming rights, the Big 12's multi-year deal would be the first professional or collegiate league to sell its naming rights. That actually would open. Does the NFL go down this path? Could you see the NFL, the DraftKings NFL?
Everything's for sale, so I wouldn't doubt it. But then you have to get into TV partnerships, and there's a lot of hoops to jump through for that. But any other way to generate more revenue, I'm sure they'll find it.
803-404-6100, the Big All-State Conference. I feel like this takes me back to like 1995 and Bill Walsh's college football, where you didn't have complete naming rights on certain things.
Yeah, that doesn't feel real. The Big All-State Conference.
We'll keep an eye on that.
We have all states. And the big ones too.
The big, yeah. There you go. There's your
all the big states. Rhode Island out. You're gonna have a certain mile percentage or a certain square kilometers that you have to be in to qualify for the big state.
Big All-State.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got it wrong.
Again, this is, you can go read this on the actionnetwork.com. But yeah, the Big 12 Conference and All-State are in discussions to sell the league's naming right. Big 12 is looking for any kind of money they can, by the way. We'll get into this maybe more next week, but they are also considering a private equity investment deal worth $800 million to $1 billion for 20% ownership of the Big 12. I mean, they're looking for, I get what they're doing, and it's smart in this day and age because the Big 12 is not going to get any more television money.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but I would just position that, private equity has not made it anything better in this country. So we'll see how that goes.
It says CBS Sports has identified Luxembourg-based CVC Capital Partners as the equity firm, and the partnership would give the conference access to CVC's investment services and clients. We'll maybe get into that a little bit more next week, but talking a lot of baseball this morning, and we'll get into something that Preston wants to get into a little bit on Monty Lee now being an assistant after being a candidate. But I want to play this. This is 26 because this is what we left you with in the previous segment. This is 26, Jen. This is Monty Lee yesterday on the postgame show talking about his thoughts on Paul Mainieri, seeing him as the successor to Mainieri. So here is what Monty Lee had to say.
I think I've said it because I've been asked a few times, look, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve any of that. I mean, that's just the way it is, and I'm okay with that. I'm completely okay with that. Like, I get excited about the opportunity that I have now. I want to work with good people, and all I know is I'm going to try to serve Paul Mainieri and help him win. And look, if that happens down the road, then great, but I can assure you of this, that's not my focus right now, and it's not going to be my focus in the future. I have never looked ahead ever in my life. The only thing that I focus on is the right here and now. I was taught a long time ago, if you focus on the past, it's only going to frustrate you, and you focus on the future, it's only going to cause anxiety, and neither one of them are good. So you better focus on right here and now and be great at what you're doing right now. And I'm going to do my very best to help him right here and now, put a great team on the field next year, and let's compete at a high level.
What do you expect him to say in that situation? But I do have to think it's on his mind. He knows, it feels like, again, there is transparency here in what is taking place, and it feels like he does know that if this goes well, it's his job to be happy. That might be 3 years, it might be 5 years. Who knows? Yeah,
and who knows what it'll be. But I think also what he understands is that if he did a great job right now, a head coaching job was going to be available to him anyway. It's just going to so happen to be this one what he might have pined over. But so that makes perfect sense to say, nah, we helped this dude win. I can lay claim to that as being part of that staff, and there were going to be multiple opportunities to us. In fact, if we do so well, it might benefit South Carolina to have this guy already in the tuck so that you don't have to get into maybe potential bidding wars or things with possible if they do that well. So, yeah, we have to take care of this first. And the word you heard maybe 3 times in that clip was serve. I'm here to serve my my head coach.
And I think the big part is we've kind of talked about this morning as we've kind of slowly move toward putting a bow on this, but it feels like everybody's on the same page. And we'll talk about that when we come back. We'll let you hear Monty Lee talking about being an assistant after being a candidate for the head coaching job. You did just hear him say there in that part that he didn't, whether he's saying it out loud and agrees with it or whether he's just saying it out loud, that he didn't feel like he deserved it. But we'll let you hear a little bit more from Monty Lee on being an assistant after being a candidate when we come back. You're listening to The Early Game. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. We've talked about it this morning, all these countdowns that are taking place, moving into the back half of the year. And if one of those countdowns that you've got is looking ahead to building a new home or buying a new home, maybe you're thinking about refinancing, it's time to speak with the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder, and see what options are available to you, what loans could make the most sense. Give him a phone call today, 803-719-1005. First Palmetto Bank is locally owned and operated right here in the Midlands. That means Jacob Crowder has local decision makers, meaning quick and precise underwriting. So again, if you're looking to make a move, if you're thinking about building a home, or if you're thinking about refinancing, you need to call the Mortgage Guru today, 803-719-1005. You can also email him, the letter J, Crowder at firstpalmetto.com. Give Jacob Crowder a call today, 803-719-1005. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you. Talking a lot of baseball this morning as we roll along here, and we'll get some more Monty Lee sound in just a minute as it pertains to now him being an assistant after being a candidate. There was strong reaction from the fan base, but it ends up being Paul Mainieri as the new head baseball coach. And let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Lawrence, thank you for holding patiently. What's on your mind this morning as it pertains to this hire?
Yeah, I was thinking that one variable is, okay, after 3 or 5 years, and it's time for the new coach, and maybe this deal is made about Monty taking over, but who's the athletic director? That may change. The other thing I wanted to tell you is I think maybe it should be the Krispy Kreme SEC, the ACC Cheerwine, and maybe the Pac-2 Big Lots.
That's a good one there. You have opened a can of worms, Lawrence. Thank you for the phone call. Yes, write that one down. We'll come back to that. We'll hit that again maybe on Monday or something.
Naming rights for the SEC. I love it.
Yeah, Krispy Kreme Cheerwine ACC. I can see that. That's really good. We will have to come back to that. That's really good stuff. We haven't mentioned it. We'll talk more about it next week. Obviously, a lot of baseball talk, but yes, the news yesterday, Chance Miller taking the athletic director job at Coastal Carolina. I don't know what it means. I don't, Chance is a great guy. He's been a huge part of this organization, of the athletic department. He has obviously helped. I know he was a very big piece of getting the upcoming soccer match at Williams-Brice Stadium. But I don't know what to quantify it as. Like, I have no idea.
I do, and I would say any of the enjoyments that we've had recently over at Williams-Brice, as far as facility upgrades, the DJ, the LED lights, all the stuff that's made the place really cool, he's directly responsible for those things. And so a lot of improvements around Gamecock athletics have been, he's been directly in charge of those things. So I do think Lawrence brings up an interesting question, because it's, you put a succession plan in place, and then the next guy comes in and he's like, it's not my plan. How does that work? That is something that I guess you'll cross that road when you get there.
Yeah, we'll get more into it next week. Have time this weekend to
we talk about that next week.
Kind of understand a little bit better. But let's get back to what we've been talking about this morning. Really, a lot of the baseball press conference stuff from yesterday. We've talked a lot about Paul Mainieri, Terry Rooney. One thing is, yes, Monty Lee stays on. This is big. It really is interesting when you look. A lot of people thought, boy, Mark Kingston or Ray Tanner, whoever hired Monty Lee, 2 years ago, boy, they're hiring Mark Kingston's successor. Sean Elliott has come in, having a background with South Carolina football and being a head coach. Monty Lee now stays on. He was a candidate for the head coaching job, and this is him yesterday on the post-game show. This is Monty Lee yesterday talking about being an assistant after being a candidate. Oh, sorry, Jen, that would be 24. I apologize. Yep.
I just said this a little bit earlier. I don't believe I deserve anything. If when everything that happened, unfortunately with Coach Kingston, when it happened, there was a real possibility I may not even have a coaching job. So look, it's a humbling experience to go through that, and I've been through it a couple times. So I don't deserve anything. The only thing that I try to do is serve the players and serve the coaches that I work for in whatever opportunity that is. I've been a head coach. I've been an assistant coach. Those roles are a little bit different, but I'm going to do everything I can because Paul Mainieri has given me this opportunity to be a part of his staff, to serve him and continue to do what I've been doing with the players, which is to be there for them and try to do everything I can to put them in a position to be successful. That's why I got into coaching. Sometimes the titles and the roles can be a little bit different, but I'm going to adjust to do whatever I can to serve the man that's put me in a position to be here, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm excited about being able to do it.
I want your thoughts on that, but I also am just going to tell you this. I did a research very quickly here, and this is from 2017. Take it for what it's worth. All right, numbers change. 2017, so 7 years ago. Tony Skoll, the previous Citadel coach, because a lot of people, and actually Paul Mainieri alluded to it, that Monty Lee did have an opportunity to go be a head baseball coach somewhere. Most people seem to believe it was at the Citadel. When Tony Skoll signed his initial contract with the Citadel back in 2017, $125,000. He's being paid $550 at the University of South Carolina. I mentioned it earlier this week when I came back on Wednesday. One thing I loved about this is South Carolina financially made an investment to their baseball program. Even being a head coach, even if he's getting $250,000, it might be a lot easier to make $550,000 and not have the head coaching responsibilities and pressure.
Yeah, that's a big difference. You know, obviously you want to get that bump in pay, and you're never going to turn that down. But I also think when you hear him, the word serve keeps coming up in his speeches, and I think that's indicative of sort of who he is. But also learn, because now he gets another opportunity to. Because I think if you would pour the truth serum to Monty, and you gave it to him, he saw him and Coach Kingston as peers. They were peers, and yes, they worked together and fine, but they were peers. Right. So they were peers. He doesn't see Papa Paul as a peer. That is somebody who I'm working under. I get to learn from, and I imagine how much he thinks he's going to get better by being able to watch this wise old veteran move around. And he sees it, I'm sure, I'm not speaking for him, I don't know him. I'm sure he sees it as an opportunity to get better in his profession, because how often do you get to coach around somebody who is considered a legend in their profession? So it's very much a win for Monty, even in his professional development.
Look, his record, I mean, he's got a 65% winning percent overall.
Who are you talking about?
Monty Lee. 518 and 281 overall. That's his career record. He won 64% of his games at Clemson. He had a above 500 record at Clemson in conference play, 102 and 86. At Charleston, 276 and 145. He doesn't have a losing record, so he is still, even though it didn't finish well at Clemson, Monty Lee is still a very viable Power 5 head coaching candidate. This is not a guy who, no offense, so I'm not trying to take a cheap shot at Will Muschamp, but this isn't a Will Muschamp situation for him. He is a guy he has coached for, I'm trying to do quick math on this, 7, 10, 13. He's been a head baseball coach for 14 years. 14 years. He's had one losing season, and then he missed the postseason in 2022. They were 35 and 23 up in Clemson. Yeah, it's not a Will Muschamp situation where you look at him and you're like, man, I mean, this guy's run programs and run them pretty well.
Also, he's being well compensated, which helps. Takes a little bit of the sting out of not getting the job. Let's be clear. But also, because he's been a head coach for that long, he knows and understands what an assistant coach, what he wishes probably some of his assistant coaches would have done for him, and he can play that role in that capacity for Coach Mainieri.
803-404-6100 is how you can join in or send in a text. As Timbo does, it says the extra zeros in the end of the check does not hurt to make you a happy assistant.
It definitely makes, I didn't get the job. But, again, I always maybe one day I will be able to feel these types of ones. I just wonder what that direct deposit feels like when it just boom, boom. That new number from whatever the
you
previous
can buy the
number.
Strawberry shortcake stuff that Jen was talking about with a lot less concern about breaking the budget.
Let's just say when I for National Bourbon Day, when I look mid-level, you can look straight to the top.
Yeah, he gets the fancy. I'm still buying the stuff that Jen thinks is awful, and Monty Lee, the family this weekend.
No more plastic bottles.
That's right. They can enjoy fine bourbon and good strawberry shortcake. I tell you what, real quick, Jen, let's listen to, this is one thing, Ray Tanner, because you just talked about it. This is Ray Tanner, number 20. This is Ray Tanner yesterday on Paul Mainieri and baseball having experienced assistants.
Well, I think it makes a lot of difference. I mean, what do you bring? And, it's not only what you can bring on practice days and days in the fall when you're trying to develop players, but when you're recruiting players and they look at the resume and been there, done that, or, or they young coaches that really, really don't have that much experience or do. I know there was a stretch in Monty Lee's career. I believe it was the last 2 years at the College of Charleston, then he goes to Clemson, the first 3 years at Clemson, a 5-year stint in a row, right? He was the second highest most wins of any coach in NCAA baseball. Many people miss that. He was successful. And then Terry Rooney is a tireless recruiter. Coach Mainieri said that he comes to work at like 6 a.m. I'm going to have a conversation with him about that. He can't be showing up everybody and show up at 6 a.m. But it's a great staff. It's a great staff that can recruit and knows how to recruit. They're tireless, and they got a great leader, that trusts them, will believe in them, and they'll be a part of it. Coach Mainieri is not a guy that I got this, I'll tell you how it's done, and he engages and involves his staff. He always have. I've known him for a while,
right.
And he will listen, and he will try to understand situations. Ultimately, he makes a decision, but he's not a guy that I don't need to talk to you. I know what I'm doing. Right. He's going to listen.
A lot of good stuff there from Ray Taylor. A lot of great stuff overall yesterday. Good job to Jay and Elijah with the interviews with Monty, Ray, and Terry, and, of course, Paul Mainieri. So, did they call him Paul Paul?
No.
I thought I saw on social media. I thought it. Okay, you said that Paul, because I saw on social media some people were like, because South Carolina put out a video or a picture yesterday of him on the plane and he had the garnet tie, and I thought I saw I thought I saw multiple that were like, oh, awesome, Paul Paul's on the way. And I didn't, look, you heard Paul Mainieri earlier talking about getting accustomed to the pickup line for the grandkids at the school and everything, but I didn't know if that was like a nickname that he had, or I didn't know.
I like it, though.
Okay.
I don't know if he likes it. You have to choose your name.
I saw Kobe, it was PAW. And,
But he did say this is his last stop. He very clearly said, and I thought it was really interesting, he said in his press conference, I'm not coaching anywhere else after this. And I thought that was like, all right, man, I like it. I respect it.
803-404-6100. We'll wrap it all up. Preston's got some stuff on age.
Listen, man, this has been a theory that's going on, and aside from me talking about it, let's let the young folks talk about it.
It's the early game. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. John Ecton and his team, they want to help you with stress. Not all kinds of stress, but your tax stress. If you've received a mean notice from the IRS, it's time to contact John Ecton and his team. Whether you're here in Columbia, Florence, or Myrtle Beach, the Ecton Law Firm has a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. Line up a free consultation today. Give them a phone call, 803-771-9800. Tell them you heard it with Bill Gunner, but make sure you get that stress off of you. You don't need to be sleeping with that at night. You don't need it bothering you during the day. The IRS is right now sending out those dreaded notices of intent to levy, but John Ecton and his team have local solutions to help solve any issues you're having. Time is limited, so give them a phone call today, and again, get that free consultation and get peace of mind. 803-771-9800. Visit them on the web, ectonlawfirm.com. That's Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. Are you able to? Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. Owner, founder Larry Leitner. He has been taking care of people's roofs for nearly 30 years. They've been the proven leader in the industry. And you know what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they are ready to make sure you get a maintenance contract so that your roof stays in great shape. And with the upcoming summer thunderstorms, those heavy rains, those high winds, that hail that can come in, Mid-State Roofing wants to make sure, whether it's a high-rise or a hospital, manufacturing or industrial, that they install one of their bonded systems with a protective guarantee that'll keep your operation dry and running long into the future. So give them a phone call. You'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee. 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. Whether you're here in Columbia, whether you're in Florence or you're Myrtle Beach, Mid-State Roofing is ready to take care of you. So if you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. Wrapping it up here, we'll get to some age discussion in just a second. But again, happy birthday to not only our resident streamer or who joins us on our live stream, Hope. Where, reminder, you can always go and check us out. Just go to the Game TV Radio on YouTube, and you can watch us each and every morning, powered by Integrated Media, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Happy birthday to her. Happy birthday to the U.S. Army, 249 years strong. And if you've served in the Army, we thank you for your service. Thank you to all those great people over there at Fort Jackson. And, of course, today, National Bourbon Day and National Strawberry Shortcake Day. Big day. Big day.
big days.
Big day.
Big days for sure.
249 years old for the Army. Preston, I'd say that is pretty old. Founded June 14th, that's the second time I've done it. 17. That's how old it is. I can't even say 1775.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. Many of you all who were born in the 19s, you might as well have been born in the 17s compared to as you listen to some of these folks. I think I stumbled upon maybe the most controversial thing I've ever said on the radio this week when I called a man who is 66 years old. Coach Maneri, we love you. Pawpaw, I don't know if that's going to be a thing that's catching on. But I might have ruffled some feathers. I don't know what I said. But here's the deal.
Let me just this is from Daryl. I didn't read it on air. But this came in at 6:28 a.m. this morning. Hey, Preston, I really appreciate you on the morning show. You're a great addition.
Thank you.
But I have to tell you, I was a little offended by your age thing yesterday. That when is 66 not old? I'm 63 and an older adult, but I don't feel old. I think of old as having a hard time getting around elderly, et cetera. So I hope when you get into your 60s, you don't feel old, but just older in age. Just saying. We always good. No worries. That's from Daryl.
And I appreciate that, and I can appreciate the sentiment. But here's the deal. Let's listen to the kids. Here are the kids from the women's basketball team who they do their cute little social media things over the summer. I don't know if you olds know what social media is, but it's the thing where you share and interact with each other. And the question was, how old do you have to be for you to be considered old? Let's listen to what the kids have to say. Jen, let's hear the kids.
What year do you have to be born to be considered old? Anything past the 90s. I think anybody older than me is old, honestly. I call everybody old.
1990s.
Yeah, in the 90s.
Actually, yeah, 90s. 70s.
That's like
you like 52.
60.
You like 50. If you born in the 70s, you're 50. So
1998.
the 90s. The 1900s.
Yep.
Ooh, my mom gonna hate me. Only because my mom is hitting 50 this year. That's because 50's old. 49 is not old, but 50. Them grays coming in, they cute though. Y'all be cute with y'all's gray hair.
What year do you have to be born to be considered
40.
old?
I mean, we a little old, right?
No. We is not old. I'm gonna say 45 and up. If you're over 50, that means you're closer to 100, so you're old.
Thank you. So
Okay.
we're on the same page.
So everybody's got the same thoughts.
You're sheesh. Nah, I'm not gonna offend nobody.
In the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
What year do you have to be born to be considered old? Well, I wouldn't call anybody old. She said 1998. That's like 1995. Because, oh my gosh. I'm gonna say the 1990s.
I'm so sorry, Mom. But listen, you still a baddie though.
Okay, I got a couple thoughts real quick. Number one.
Yep.
Number one, and most importantly,
I didn't say any of that. That wasn't me.
last year, I think it was Raven Johnson who, when they won the championship, the national championship 2 months ago, said they had Final Four Fridays. And it wasn't cupcakes and hanging out and relaxing. It was running. Today's a Friday. I don't know if they're still doing Final Four Fridays, but if Dawn Staley hears any of that, Dawn Staley, birthday a month ago, turned 54. Dawn Staley's a day after me. Mine was May 3rd. Hers was May the 4th. If Dawn Staley hears any of that, I would imagine Final Four Friday was not enjoyable this morning. That's number one. Number two, when Dawn Staley, she had a kindergarten class as opposed to a business group last year, I see what she's saying.
Yeah, you heard him. You heard him doing the calculation. It was like, oh, the 90s. Wow. If you were anything past that, then somebody said the 1900s as if it was the 1700s. Because to these young people, that was a long time ago. So yes, you may feel young at heart, and yes, you may move very well, but you know that you are seasoned. We won't say the O word. I'll say seasoned. But here's the thing. For us seasoned folks, they have to be blessed enough to make it, to be considered old. So that is a blessing to be whatever age you are. But take it from the mouths of babes. If you were born in the 1900s, you just might be considered a little bit aged. That's you, Bill. Those grades are cute.
I feel good.
Those grades are cute on you
stress,
like they told you.
Stress.
They told you. You still a baddie, though, Bill.
I've been
Those
with
grades
Jen
are
for
cute.
6 years. You should see my beard 6 years ago when I started. It was gorgeous. Now it's all gray. We're out of here. Oh, man. Big weekend. Big week. Lots of sports, including a big birthday party for my buddy Michael Dukes. He is getting older, and it's his birthday tomorrow. If you see him out there, wish him a happy birthday. I know how I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to get him some steaks from Old Timey Meat Market. Maybe some of their cheddar hamburgers. Absolutely delicious. And you know what? Maybe you're not celebrating Mike's birthday this weekend. Maybe you're celebrating your own birthday or watching the College World Series, golf, maybe a little NBA basketball. It all starts with a trip to Old Timey Meat Market. One of their 3 locations, the Irmo store on St. Andrews, South Congaree, or the Lexington store, where their quality selection is an absolute cut above the rest. You'll find the best meat buying experience out there. That's how you need to start the weekend. Maybe some chicken breast, maybe some ribeye steaks, maybe you want some thick cut bacon for breakfast in the morning. Whatever it is, Old Timey Meat Market has you taken care of, and I can guarantee you, you will run into you will run into me at the Lexington store this afternoon. So visit St. Andrews Road in Irmo, South Congaree, or Lexington, and tell Old Timey Meat Market Bill Gunner sent you.